Hello! I have some shiny new Dwarven Forge pieces, and I can't wait to show them off. So, last year's Dwarven Forge Kickstarter campaign focused on 3 outdoor sets. There was the forest, and the forest had been introduced 2 years previously, I want to say. And I got some. I don't love it. I find that the grid is very obfuscated in the detail of the sculpting of the ground and the grass, and it's hard to actually use for tactical combat, in my opinion. I also don't have a lot of larger planned encounters in forests. It's mostly on the way to places, and I wouldn't have something set up ahead of time in terms of terrain for that. They also had a swamp, and the swamp had some cool looking stuff, but I'm just not a big fan overall. I don't go to the swamp often. Well, I don't go to the swamp often, but I also don't send my players in the RPG into a swamp often. It's just, I don't know, it's not my favored biome. But then there are the mountains, and I saw the mountains, and I was like, yeah, this is the thing. These are going to be very versatile, I think, because the mountain, they introduced some mountain pieces, I want to say in the City Builder Kickstarter way back in the day, but it was just some cliff pieces. This is a lot more in-depth, has a lot more variety in terms of how you can manage three-dimensional levels. And the mountains are going to go with everything. If I do set something up with a forest, I can have that going into mountains. I can have mountains next to a town. I can have mountains going into caverns or into a dungeon. And so they can be mixed with everything. And I also really like the unique pieces that are in here. So, of course, there's lots of big mountain building embankments. That's rivers. Escarpments. Big three-dimensional pieces. And there are lots of tools between those pieces, and then you have a ton of these stilts in here. There are a lot of tools to be able to stack these and create layers and multiple levels of height in your build, which is really neat. And the other thing that they focused on is what they're calling, what do they call it? Driftstone? This. So, looks very cool to begin with, this kind of crystally rock mineral stuff. But you have these pieces which can work as just terrain, right? You can plop this down and it's something to give cover, make people run around, that kind of thing. But you flip it over and you have all of these acrylic pegs and stands that fit into the bottom, and so you get these floating islands of stone, and there are more peg holes on them, so you can have other islands coming off of this and stuff like floating all over the place, which I thought looked really cool, and it could be a fun way to add some tactical magical stuff to an encounter where you have enemies that are on these floating platforms firing down at you or casting spells down at you, and you have to make a daring jump from a nearby ledge, or you have to fly up to them or shoot at them or whatever. It is going to look very neat. And then we have, I love water. So look at this. That's just gorgeous water, and there are multiple levels of it, so you can make a cool, not, I guess, kind of waterfall. It's not all one big straight thing, but it's a tiered, cascading down 1 or 2 levels, which I think is just gorgeous. And then it flows right off into a river train tray, and I have like 4 of those in here, which is awesome. Finally, there are ruins in these mountains, and to me, they're elvish ruins, but of course, whatever. But I think that they're just beautiful. The sculpting on them, I love the blue-green color scheme. This particular piece lights up. It's got this cold blue pulsing crystal. And here are some circles, half-part circles. I just, to me, these are gorgeous. Here's a pedestal. And this cool glowing crystal, and this is one of the jobbers with a remote, so you can set different modes, set different colors to it. Beautiful. So this is all the stuff that came in the Wyvern Stone Peaks Mega Build. Wyvern Stone Mountain Mega Build? I don't know. The big set. And gonna see what I can do with it. So here's a little sample build that I made up for the Wyvern's Tooth Peak. I did not use all the contents of the Mega Build pack. I have some, mostly there's a ton of these driftwood pieces, driftstone that can be cover terrain or floating platforms, and I really did not make any attempt to use them all. I also have a bunch of the stilts left. I didn't use anything with the trees, because I don't love those. But I did use almost all of my escarpments and, of course, all of the unique pieces for the set. So it's just a little sample build, and I'll take you through the salient features. We have the party of explorers starting off in this corner, and there's some elvish ruins here with that cool pulsing blue crystal, and beyond it we have the fogging, steaming, erupting, I don't know, this Oblivion Nexus with the fog machine in there, and it's being guarded by an undead warrior of some kind, and the party can go over there and they have to do something in there. I don't know, they have to drop in a piece or seal something and fight him on the way up. But on this floating platform, set of platforms over here, there's a ghoul and skeleton archer ready to hail arrows down while they're engaged in melee. Now let's just take a moment to appreciate this gorgeous waterfall. It's just so pretty. I love it. And then back over here, I constructed a bridge to span across the water. And these are 3 pieces using these metal pegs. So it's a nice long bridge they can go across. And if they haven't taken out those archers yet, they could still be under fire as they cross the bridge. And over here, there's some more of the elvish ruins. I have this, I love this crystal here. And this is attached to their remote control. So you can change what color it is. You can make it go between things, different colors, whatever you like to do with that. And then over here with these escarpments, this way really doesn't have a way up aside from maybe some nasty climb checks. So they pretty much have to cross the water, get over here, and there are some stairs hewn into the escarpments. So you go up that. There's some more ruined elvish things. And then the land itself is objecting to the rituals being performed here, so there's this earth elemental that's in their way. Another cool floating platform just up there for the decoration of it. And then more steps carved into the side of these escarpments going up to the 3rd level. And here's a different bridge. This one is actually one constructed bridge piece, and I'm not using it terribly well. It's designed to also go in with the pegs, but I just kind of put it on top of that stuff, have a floating platform to the side of it, and then you've crossed back to this first side, but on the uppermost level, and there's this beautiful centerpiece to all of the elvish stuff. And what I did is I have a lich who's trying to perform some kind of ceremony with it. He's summoned a couple of the old elvish warriors to stave off the party as he's going about his vile business. So that's the Wyvern's Tooth, Wyvern's Peak. I've even forgotten what it's called by now. Those are the mountains, the Wildland Mountains from Dwarven Forge. I'm overall really pleased with this set. I really love the floating drift zone bits and the way that you can attach things in the different directions. I think that's very cool. I love the escarpments themselves. I think that they're really thoughtfully constructed. They have all of the shapes that you could want. The way that they stack and work with the verticality and the different heights is very cool, and I have a ton of them, so I can really do some cool things with that. I love the waterfall, and I love the ruins pieces, so I'm really happy with all of those things. The one thing that there are two things actually that I'm not so thrilled with. One of them is they included these texture sheets to go on top of the water. They're just a little bit of clear plastic with some ripples on it to try to make the water look more realistic. It really doesn't do it for me, and they're pretty finicky to try to line up precisely on top of the water terrain trays and not have anything move when you're putting pieces on there, and I don't really see myself using them. And then the fog machine piece, I have nothing against it as its own, but the way that it fits in this build is not awesome. It takes up height. I'll show you here what I'm talking about. So you can see that this is a regular height floor piece, and then this is underneath. So in the demo video for it, they're showing off that it works with one of the volcanoes in Hellscape, and that's deep enough that it goes completely over this and it's inside. And there's a piece from this Kickstarter, the Wildlands in the forest, I think. There's a piece that has like a carnivorous plant on top, and again it's larger and it goes all the way over the top of this. Those will both fit in line with your other floor level tiles. So if you have a bunch of tiles making up this level, you just put that in the middle and it works. This one doesn't. This is a second level up, so as you saw perhaps when I put this over there in my build, this whole piece is raised up from the level of the surrounding floor. So I don't see myself using it very much because it's a pain to either finagle away that there's a raised section of this size and it looks right, or to try to find the little bankment tiles to go around it, and forget that. So maybe I'll try it with the Hellscape Volcano, but I just don't see getting a lot of use. I will test it out. There's another piece that goes along the escarpments, and it has a cutout in here so that you can put the fog machine horizontally. Well, they said horizontally, but that would be vertically. Anyway, you can put it like that, and the nozzle will fit in there, and it'll spew some fog out over the canyon or river or whatever this is facing. So I'm going to try that out. That might be cool. but I don't see myself really using it for this piece. The last thing is that I really think that Dwarven Forge needs to start including some documentation. And this is going back several things, really, when they introduced like the trifecta terrain system. They need to start including some little sheets that show pictures of given pieces and the different ways they can fit together, because I had to go back and watch the YouTube video to see what the tricks were supposed to be with a few of these things, where there are different ways you can use a given piece and it's built to fit against this piece or on top of this little socket, and none of that is immediately visually obvious because I did a good job of making the pieces all standalone also. But that means unless you are like super fanatic about this and you can just remember all of those details, or you've already written something for yourself, none of that is going to be used very often, perhaps, because you're going to forget, oh, hey, this piece could go here and do this. But overall, I'm super psyched about this. I can't wait to start using some of this in my campaign and have my players scrambling around on some ledges and cliffs, and it'll be very cool. So hopefully that was neat for you. I hope you had fun watching. I'm going to be trying to getting back into a posting schedule, so if you like stuff about Dwarven Forge, board games, role-playing, conversation stuff, hit subscribe, get notifications about videos, and thank you for watching.